What'd you say? Fix it?
I think so.
Good to go? Rock and roll?
Right on, cowboy.
Huh? Huh?
Wow.
Huh?
The easiest oil change ever.
This isn't an oil change. It's
Oil
just
filter change. Whatever.
Yeah. So, hey, clean this little thing out. You just put it back in there. Tighten it down. Oil filter success. No more. Whoa.
Poor guy.
Shit.
You just break this damn lift.
That thing was. The poor chassis is just. The poor chassis is just tripping, man.
Speaking of.
Flexing and moving around and stuff.
Speaking of.
Speaking of getting a new chassis.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, here we go. Here we go. Is this going to be a continuation of our conversation off camera that we did earlier?
Yeah.
Okay. That turned into a fucking argument?
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
We have to be careful because, you know, if we fight like we normally do, somebody might call the cops.
I edit these videos, so it's fine.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people around Wheatland. Well, nobody calls the cops in Wheatland.
There's no cops in Wheatland.
Yeah.
So, when I came to the shop with all of my filming equipment, I had been talking to some fans about a subject, and I wanted to know your opinion about it. So, and I did disclose to these fans that what I was telling them was only my opinion and not yours, because I truly did not know your opinion. Correct.
No, you definitely didn't know my opinion because...
We had never talked about it.
Well, because you walked in here and started to bring it up, and I could tell it was one of those things where you were looking for a right.
I was trying to get you to co-sign it.
And I looked at you like, I'm not co-signing for that. And then, yeah, then the argument just went wild from there. So.
What?
Oh, shit. Sorry, buddy.
There goes the field stuff.
It's okay.
So what?
The fucking shit. Yeah, I'm listening.
What defines a new car?
This is something that we have been dealing with for, you know, a month or two now ourselves, you know, because we have some decisions that we have to make as well. And so we've been talking about this. It's really weird, though, that we have talked about so much race car stuff. We have talked about doing so much shit together, and we've done so much shit together, that it's weird.
That somehow we never talked about this.
This has never come up in our
we
conversations?
talk about, our daily conversations are deep.
Race cars.
Yeah, they're full-blown into race car brainology, you know? Like, we have deep race car talks every day, and somehow we've never had this talk. So when I came here with my whole bag of luggage of cameras and stuff, you know, I was like, I'm going to ask him about this and see what he thinks, because I even told these fans, I was like, this is what I think, and to be really honest, a lot of times, me and you do not have the same idea on race car things.
Okay, so let's tell them what the fuck you're talking about.
So, the question of the day is, what defines a new car?
Race cars.
New race car. And
we're talking, hang on.
Yeah.
And this, what we're talking about, is in regards to tube chassis race cars.
Yes.
Steel body.
We're not talking about street cars. We're not talking about small tire cars.
Nope. We're talking about
like full
steel body, steel quarter, tube chassis race car.
And we're not talking about any one person.
No, definitely.
We're not picking on nobody. It's just me and you
having a discussion about, and you know, in reality, we may be having this discussion about this car, this particular car. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We are going to talk about this in the form of this car also, and this is not about anybody else's car. We're not picking on nobody, so don't start shit. But what defines a new car? I felt like if you took, hold on, am I going to fall in the hole if I back up? No. Okay. So, I felt like if you took the, if you took this car and you took off the front part and the rear part and left the middle part, that's not a new car. And if you redid the front of a car, that's not a new car. And if you redid the back of the car, that's not a new car. And I also feel like if you take the same roof and quarters and put it on a completely new chassis, that is a new car. Because I feel like the chassis is the car. Wow, there's nothing in the shot. I feel like the chassis is the car. So
the chassis is the car.
To me, the things that change how the car...
We can kind of agree on that.
But the things that change how the car performs during racing is the car. And the roof and quarters does not change how it performs. Unless you're throwing out pro mods and it's freaking carbon fiber and stuff. I'm not talking about that.
Even in steel body cars, the aerodynamics, the front, the coefficient of drag, the frontal area, all that stuff, that plays a small part. But you're not talking about that
But I'm talking about...
You're mainly talking about
bars.
Yeah,
chassis,
the suspension, what holds the car up, and what
where the motor's at.
Yeah.
Like real chassis items. If you redid the front of a car, that is not a new car. That's front halving a car. I feel like chassis modifications are not a new car, but if you change everything and the whole car is a new chassis, that is a new car no matter what roof and quarters are on it.
Okay.
Your turn.
Huh?
I said it's your turn.
My turn? Mm-hmm. I think that's the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. I think that, okay, now, technically, you're right about a few things. The chassis is, the main part of the race car, and until cars started going over 100 or 150 in the freaking 8th, the body wasn't really there for much other than style or to cover up the chassis. I get that. So, in theory, the chassis is the car. The chassis is, the body. I mean, and to kind of defend your theory there a little bit, the body is mainly held on by Zeus fasteners and like small pieces of tubing and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, hell,
you have to admit it could be interchanged. If you wanted to take this body off and put on a first-gen Camaro body, you could.
I mean, you could. I don't know if it would look right. I don't know if it all fit.
Oh my God.
There might be some gaps.
You might have to edit a couple things, yeah.
But I can say the edit. So now videos, now real life is like video. You've been editing too many videos.
I'm a YouTuber.
So, okay, I get what you're saying, okay? Wow, I fucking made that.
Nice.
But here's where we're gonna have a problem, okay? Because what if you replace all the bars on this car, all the chassis bars, mm-hmm. all the frame rails, and the down bars, and all the cage and the hoops and everything. If you change all that, is it a new car?
If it's at the same time.
What? So, but if you changed what you're saying is, if you put a new chassis, if you put a new chassis in this car, it's a new car. That's what you're saying. Okay, but what if you replace all the bars, but it just takes longer? What if you replace all the bars one bar at a time?
Then they're not new.
But they're not old.
But they're not completely new together.
But they're not the old car. It's different. They're different.
Those aren't original.
What is it? Yeah. So it's not going to have any of the original bars in it anymore. So it's not the original car.
But we don't call it the original car. But so if you front half your car, is that a new car?
No.
Exactly.
No, it's the same. No, you're saying that it's Twan. Hey, Twan.
Oh, good. Here
Welcome
we go.
to the conversation. Sir.
We have
Well,
a third
yeah.
party.
We don't so we don't have a microphone, so we're gonna wing it here. But I want Twad to weigh in on this.
Twad.
Twad. I like it. Twad. I want Twan to weigh in on this. So
Whoa. Gimbal.
he is a chassis guy.
I don't know about that.
Well, okay.
He's like, I'm not claiming that title.
I've had experience with it.
Most of his work is done on chassis. He's worked at chassis shops. You know, it's
We
kind of
hired him from a chassis shop.
He kind of specializes in chassis. So
We hired him. He worked at the chassis shop
he
that
actually did.
modified your chassis, and then we hired him. But was that a new car?
No, it was just a front half.
Right.
But see, me and you are different though, because I think it's not a new car. I think
So to you, what defines a new car?
roof and quarters.
No!
Yeah.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
I'm not saying it's smart.
Okay, so if you took your chassis and put a new roof and quarters on it, is it a new car?
Yeah.
No. That's stupid.
Okay, hang on. No, so hang on. If you put a new roof and quarters of the same, if you just replace the roof and quarters, then it's not a new car. But if you did something different, like
But that
made this
doesn't
a-
affect how it drives at all.
Yeah, I know.
If you cancel out the very small
Listen,
aerodynamics
okay, I'm
or
not
whatever.
saying that my opinion is the smartest opinion. I'm not saying that I can't even defend my opinion. Okay.
Well, what's your reasoning?
I don't have any. I can just tell you, I'm serious, I'm being honest. I can just tell you what my heart and what my brain says, and that is, and it gets even weirder. We could go down this giant rabbit hole. So
Well, that's what we do every day.
here's my opinion, okay? And this is gonna get really weird.
Oh,
People are
boy.
gonna just shit all over me because I don't make sense. But some things in race cars don't make sense, okay? It's just the way it is. It's the way it's always been. It's the way it's gonna be. Why is the sky blue? Why are boobs good? They just are, okay? If you were to take this car and you cut the whole chassis out from underneath of it, right here,
On this lift?
right here, right where it's at, cut the whole chassis out from underneath of it, and you build a whole new chassis underneath it, like
Like in the
like
car?
while it's, I mean, like, you know what I mean? Like you don't build a chassis
Yeah.
somewhere else, bring it here and put the body on. Like you sit here and you build a whole new chassis to this car, okay? Not a new car.
What the fuck?
If you build a whole new chassis over there in that bay,
Just one bay over.
and then you take the roof and quarters off of this car and you put it onto that chassis, that's a new car.
What?
I'm just telling you. That's a new
Oh
car.
my gosh.
Okay, hang on. It gets even weirder. If you take this roof and quarters off and put another one of the same model year back on here, not a new car.
I agree.
But if you take this roof and quarters off and you put a 67 Camaro roof and quarters on it, that's a new car.
I think no matter what.
I mean, we basically did the first one already.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already replaced the car.
So-
I feel like the body panels don't matter because that's not what drives the car. The four-link doesn't depend
But
on the
Jackie,
quarter panels.
You were thinking of this logically. You were thinking of
Let's
this.
ask the master.
Oh, yeah. What's your opinion of a new car?
Coming from a chassis guy.
And don't try to agree with me because you have to work in the shop with me every day. Don't try to agree with her because she writes your paycheck. Just be you. Right now, you're off the clock. You just came in here. We didn't tell you to come to work. You just walked in here. Who knows what even? I don't even know what
We
you're
don't
doing
even know
here.
you.
I don't even know what you're doing here at 2 in the morning. But but you just speak your case. What's a new car?
Originally, if someone came in with a stack of cash and wanted to build a new car, it would be from the ground up. It'd be the whole chassis and the body. And at that point in time, it was just a carbon shell. So, I mean, that would be a new car. But we also did a lot of maintenance and repair stuff. So if someone wrecked a car beyond a certain point, then we'd keep the body and repair the chassis underneath it, and it'd be the same car.
But what if you
I
just
don't think
front
it'd
half
be
a
like-
car?
It'd be like the big thing where it's like it's a 2.0, you know?
Oh man.
This car 2.0, like how everyone tries to do
Oh,
it.
like
Yeah.
Well, okay. I don't like the 2.0 thing. Never have. But Okay.
In my head, there's like,
So that's like
it's like a video
But
game.
there's, well,
You know, like in a video game, like when you play No Limit, and when you play No Limit and you're like racing, take everybody's money, you know, because that's what I do, because I run like 360s on there. Your tires go down in percentage. Like there's a bar above your car, and there's motor and there's tires, and they go down in percentage. So in my head, there's like a bar for percentage of like your front half, your back half, your middle section, like, you know, and if you replace the back half,
Stage 1.
yeah. Well, if you replace the back half, that part's 100%, but your front and your middle are still at 60. So that's not a new car.
But
But
no,
if
who
you go and
replaced the
replace
back
all
half?
3 of them, that's a new car.
we've done some back halves here that aren't 100% when we put them in.
Oh my gosh.
They perform 100%.
He's like,
No,
do not
I
deny my
understand. Okay,
performance.
look, I get it. But I think what you're missing, okay, here's the deal. So, like, man, we really need Monkey's dad. He would tell us.
He would give us
Monkey's
a
dad
deal.
would say, that's a new car, okay? Okay? Listen here, okay? That's a new car, okay? All right. Say you're driving through the northeast side of Oklahoma City. You get, you're going
I'm
to,
not allowed to go over there, but
going to
okay.
get your hair done or whatever. Okay, and then you're bebopping through Paseo, and you bebop up,
Bebop.
and you end up in Crown Heights or whatever.
No clue where that is. I'm not allowed to go in those
Okay.
areas.
Well, you end up over there in the historical district, which is like hood adjacent. You know, it's hood,
Yeah, that's where all the
historical,
hipsters live.
hood.
Yeah.
Okay, if you drive really fast, you can't tell the difference. The houses all look the same, right? Because there's really no difference between these houses that are $500,000 and these houses that are $50,000. Just the people who live in them. But take one of those houses, this historical house. Okay, it's 150 years old or whatever, 380. Well, not in Oklahoma. Everything in Oklahoma started.
They're like
yeah,
a solid 50 years old here.
1889, and this whole place was nothing but Indians until 1889. So
That's when
all
it
right.
was all teepees over there.
Yeah, so historical teepees. So let's say you take one of those historical homes, okay, you buy it. Like, let's say your parents were rich or something.
Okay, get with it.
You buy this home, you go in, you love the way it looks, you love the old house, you love the old neighborhood. You go in, but man, it's pretty rough inside because it's, 100 years old.
Yeah.
So what do? You remodel the thing.
What are you remodeling?
Everything.
Like,
You've watched the remodeling shows. What do they say? We're going to go in and take it down to the bones, to the stud. These guys got good bones. We're going to take it down to the studs, redo the whole damn thing. We're
Yeah.
going to line it up with new electricity, 220, 221, whatever it takes, and then we're going to put this thing back together. You remodel the home. Okay, when you get done,
it's remodeled.
is it new?
No.
It's not new.
No.
But you changed everything but the body. And it's not
Not
new?
the body. The body would be the bricks.
Yeah, you didn't change the bricks.
But if you change the studs, that's a new home.
No, you changed everything but the bricks. Is it new?
Yes.
No, it's not. You could
That's
put it
the
on,
original
you could
bricks
put
on
it
a
on,
new
You
home.
could put it on the Zoom or what is Willow. You could put it on Willow for
Willow?
new. No, what would it say? Remodeled, fresh,
No, it would say new house
Two
with
owner.
original bricks.
one owner,
3 ghosts.
no keeper or no smoker.
Keepers.
Yeah. So it wouldn't be a new home.
It'd be a new home with the original bricks. Original.
Man, I'm teeing you up and you're not getting it.
Oh.
I teed you up and you didn't get it.
I don't know jokes.
It's not a joke. A point. I teed you up and I didn't even realize until I got done. And then when I got done, I said, I hope she doesn't say this because I'm dead in the water. And then she
What
didn't
is
say
it so
it.
I can say it?
Foundation.
Oh, it's a new foundation.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
That's
If they
not
redid
that-
the bricks
No.
or the
It'd be the
studs,
same
It'd be the same foundation.
oh, the foundation's the ground.
Yeah. So
I don't know. I don't build houses.
Yeah, I
I
know.
know race cars. The foundation of this race car is the goddamn chassis. If you replace the
Okay,
whole chassis, that's
but
a new
listen,
car.
Jackie, I get it. From a fundamental standpoint, from a, if we were working on this car and we replaced the whole chassis underneath the fucking roof and quarters, and if somebody said, man, why is it doing that? We would say, I don't know, it's all fucking new. We replaced everything. It's still doing it. Okay? Then I get it. What you're talking about is fundamentally it's all new. I get it. But with these type of cars, with straight out cars, with steel body, steel roof and quarter cars, it's the identifiable aspect that you're missing.
No.
You know what I mean?
It's
Yes,
not.
it is.
Maybe I could see it being identifiable to a fan.
Yeah, but that's all that matters.
No, I matter.
Yes. No, okay. You do matter. Everyone matters, okay? I'm not going to deny that. We all matter.
I'm not looking at it at the
Yeah, gosh, she just took me right down she was down there with a fucking, just knocked my head off. No, I get it. You matter.
I'm not
Everybody
talking
matters.
about the fan standpoint. I'm talking about in real race car life. It's not just the outside of the car. It's
But
what's
Jackie,
inside that matters.
But Jackie, the real
this
race
thing's
car
ugly
life.
as hell on the outside most of the time, but he's still got a good heart, you know?
So is
it's
it
what's on the
new?
inside that matters.
But is it new?
I didn't say new heart.
Good heart.
So,
But listen, in the race car world, with just diehard race car people, the 10 or 15 people that are in this shit, you know what I mean, in the middle of the shit, to us, we can call it whatever we want. You know what I mean? Because we're on the same level as each other in here. We all know what's going on under these fucking steel roof and quarters, you know? But to the rest of the world, that's who we name these cars for. You know what I mean? Like a new car or an old car. Because we wouldn't say it's new or old. We would just say it's the car.
so question.
But it's the fans that matter. The fans is who we have to identify whether it's a new car or not. Because the fans need to know. The fans need to know, what did you do this winter, you lazy fuck? You didn't build a new car, you know? And then,
Or
but
they'll
there's
take
also
it with it.
but there's also fans who say, I can't believe you got rid of
The old
your
car.
car, your old car. You could have rebuilt that. You know how many people have told me that? It's sitting right out there. You want to go look at it?
No.
Okay, well, trust me, there's about this much of it that's worth rebuilding. Okay?
Maybe.
I'm
But-
told and tell. Like, they still say it. Like, where's the old car?
Yeah, but they're like, but if I took that piece out of the old car and set it on a chassis jig and said, we're going to rebuild this thing, and then rebuilt the whole car around that one piece, those people would be cool with it. I could say,
Well, then this is
we
your old car
rebuilt it.
because we did the
'Cause
doors
all
on
I
it.
could say is we rebuilt it. I took I took what was left of that car that was still good,
I mean,
and I
you technically
rebuilt it.
did.
Even if it's only this much of it, I did it, okay? But those are the fans are the ones that we say this shit for. Because if it's not the fans, we wouldn't say any of it. We wouldn't say it's new or old or nothing. We would say, because think about it. If somebody says, how old is your car? I'm going to say, oh, the Center's, really, some of that stuff in there is really old, but we front halved it in 17, we back halved it in 18. That's what I would say to race car people. But you can't say that to, you know what I mean? You can't say that to a fan. They wouldn't understand, like back half, front half, what the hell are you talking about? Like,
I don't know.
This
These
side
fans
new
is
and
getting
that
pretty
side's
wise.
old.
no, yeah, the fans are getting smarter. Like, there's some fans like Wrangle Mania that's like to the point where
I think he's more race car than half of us, but
there's a couple of times when I'm
race car
talking to
during
him
the
and I
week.
go, I'm looking around the shop, I'm like, is that motherfucker here? You know what I mean? Like, trust me, there are fans that get it. There are plenty of fans that get it. And most of the ones on YouTube get it. You know what I mean? We haven't been doing it very long, but we're learning from the ones that are there. Those fans get it more than just about everybody else. But then there's the casual fan who doesn't care. There's the casual fan who only has enough time once a week to sit down and watch our show. They don't want to fucking know all. They
But I
don't
have a
care.
question.
All they want to know is it new or not new? Is it the car that I liked yesterday? Or is it
Are we
a,
racing or not?
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for.
but that's the question. If
Okay.
you are claiming that it is the same car, is it fair to not acknowledge all of the newness, because chassis and all of that update by a lot every year, correct? Is it not fair to acknowledge that it's not the same car?
To who?
Even if you don't call it new,
Who would you have to acknowledge
is
that
it not
to?
messed up to let the fans think that that is the same car that they saw
Oh, I
5
don't know.
years
That's
ago? No. If it's not, because saying that it's the same car from 5 years ago, but it's not, is that fair to the fan? To let them
I don't
think
know.
that
That's
they're
moral
watching you
compass.
race the same car, but it's not.
That's moral compass. I mean, these cylinder heads, okay? I tell people that they're 14 years old or whatever because they are. I've been running them for 14 years. they're almost 9 years old. But I've been running these for 14 seasons, okay?
Yeah.
They got a lot of licks on them. But are those the valves that came with the heads? No, I'm sure we've replaced them at some point along the way. Are those the valve springs?
Same.
No, not the same valve springs. That's not the same. Well, yeah, it is. When I say, hey, these fucking heads are 9 years old, they got 14 seasons and 11,000 passes on them, and I still kicked your ass with them, I'm not going to acknowledge that they got new shit in them.
Okay, so what if you lose to a car that's been completely redone, but it has the same roof and quarters, and they say, I beat you with my same car I had 10 years ago, even though you've only had this car for 5 years. Is that how would you feel?
If somebody says that, they're not saying that for me or to me because I know better and they know better. If they're saying that, they're saying that for the fan that's watching or listening.
But it's not true.
Well, none of it's true, though. I don't understand. It's true to the fan, you know?
But it's not.
Okay, well, I have not. Okay, if we get to that point.
Because it makes it seem like the technology and however your car is, and it's only 5 years old, is worse than that car being 10 years old.
Yeah, but I do that all the time. I'm the worst about that. Are you talking about me here?
No.
It sounds like you're talking about me here. Because that's the thing I do. I do that a lot.
Never mind, I'm going to crop this out.
No, you're not going to crop it out either.
Yes,
You're going to leave it. No, you're not. You're going to leave it because I get what you're saying, but this is just something that, and it's okay for us to not have the same opinion.
I feel like if I was just a fan looking in, I didn't know about chassis, I would feel lied to if someone said, this is my same car from 10 years ago and I just kicked blah, blah, blah's ass, even though he's been winning shit in that car for the last 5 years. I would feel lied to not knowing that that is not the same.
I just think there's a line there that that I just don't give a shit about because, honestly, I mean, I don't know. You know, I think that.
I think you're right on that one. Moral compass.
I think it comes down to moral compass. You know, it comes down to the person itself. If that person is okay, or if I'm okay with saying that this is the same old shit from 5 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever, like if I'm okay with saying that, then I'm going to say that, obviously. And, you know, if. Yeah, sure. Some of the stuff has been replaced. Some of the bars have been replaced. I get that, you know. But, you know, in the general scheme of things, you know what I mean? It is what it is. I don't know, you know. I just think that there's some lines there that come down to there is no right or wrong. There is no new car, old car, whatever. I think there's some lines there that are blurred that comes down to the person that owns the car or drives the car. You know, it comes down to what they want to say, and it comes down to what we want to be okay with. You know what I mean? And if somebody says that, or if I say that to somebody, and they don't agree, well, then they can say whatever they want, and and I'll have to deal with it. Like I don't know, it is what it is. But, but I think that the new car, old car thing, like there's two different ways to look at that, right? One is. Because the only time it actually matters, because it doesn't. The only time it actually matters on whether this is a new car or not is when we had the list and there was a rule that if you built a new car, you had to start back at 10. You know, so if you were number 1, you built a new car, you'd have to start back at 10 and work your way up. And the rule wasn't meant for this, you know. The rule was meant so that someone can't tear their shit up, or someone can't say my car's not fast enough once they get to number 1, like they had an easy ride up and then there's a bunch of fast cars coming and they go get their buddy's car, they beat those guys, and they bring their car back out. Like that's what the rule was for. But you know, this stuff has become a lot bigger now on the internet and on stuff like that. It's become a lot bigger now because I hear videos and fans, I watch all that shit, and I hear people talking about it all the time, and it's like, is this a new car or is this an old car? Well, I think it's because so many people are building new cars. Everybody's building a new car. You know what I mean? But if you're building a new car, you know, the fan identifier thing, you know, it has to be a part of that. So I just, you know, I know that in most of my stuff stems back to Midwest Street Cars and the list and the rules that we had then, because that's really all I have left, you know. And on the list, if you rolled your car, you know, or it burned up and you replaced the chassis that was fucked up underneath it and kept, you know, the roof and quarters and all that, then it's not a new car. That's the way we've always had to go about it. Because where do you tell some guy that wants
That was
to
never
believe?
a thing, though, was it?
What?
Was that ever a situation
What?
that somebody did that?
Yeah, there was a few situations where people had to start back over. They brought a different car. When Dave would get
No, but crashing one and rebuilding with the same deal and getting back in the same spot.
Monza did it. Shane did it a lot. There was somebody else. Jeff Lutz did it. I mean, there's a few guys that have done it, that have crashed a car and rebuilt it and came back with the same car, you know. And you just have to, you know, it really comes down to if it's that close to on the edge, I would just leave it up to the guy who owns the car. If you're seriously cool with calling this your old car, if you're cool with calling this, if you're cool with saying this is the same as your original car that you brought out here, if you're good with that, if you can live with yourself as saying that, then we all have to respect it, I guess, you know. But because that's what it really boils down to is the honor system and some of that stuff. But I don't know. I think that there's two different ways to look at it, you know. There's the list part and then there's everybody else, you know. And on the list, it was as long as you kept, because in our world, there's only one rule, you know. In street racing, there's only one rule, really. And it's, as far as competition rules, there's only one. You have to have steel roof and quarters. It has to be, you know, a Ventec car. It has to be a legit original car that was built for, you know, fucking driving around on the city streets to get groceries and stuff, and it came from a plant in GM or whatever, or Ford if you're silly. So, you know, that's really the only rule. So that's kind of the way we identify ourselves to everyone else in the world, is that we run, you know, original equipment, steel roof and quarter cars. We run, you know, legit Detroit muscle car shit. Of course, now everything's getting late model, but that's where a lot of the blur comes in too, because if you wanted to go build a new car right now, you know, would you go get a junk car? And I can tell you that I'll be honest. If I wanted to build a new car, if I was building a new car right now, not saying that I am. So.
Disclaimer, not.
Yeah. If I was to be building a new car right now, would I go out to a junkyard and, like, let's say I was building a 68 Firebird. Would I go out to a junkyard and find it? Well, it'd be hard to find a 68 Firebird. But would I go find a 68 Firebird to start from? No, I wouldn't. It's pointless now. If you do that, it's going to be really hard for you to be competitive. Because
of the aerodynamics?
No, it's just you're taking a car, like this car was originally a real deal GTO, a full car, you know what I mean? Somebody drove. Mm-hmm. And when you take that car and you try to make a race car out of it, you know, you cut the floorboard out and you cut as much of it out, you can cut as much out as you want. And I've seen people cut more out than anybody else. You know what I mean? Like Don Dial has some cars that he's cut. You know, he did a really good job getting them as light as he possibly could, but still yet, you're starting with stuff that had safety regulations and everything in mind for crashes, and it was double layered in some places, and it was, what's the other shit called? Like her car, where it's all, you know what I mean? The floorboard stuff in her car, what's that called? We talk about it all the time.
Oh, stamped?
Yeah, there's like,
Steel?
yeah, but there's like layers of the stamping,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to get that old stuff light. So nowadays, you call someone that makes the replacement parts for a 68 Firebird, you know, like, because the roof rusted out of my 68 Firebird, you know, like there's people that has happened to. So they found some company that will now make them a roof panel for their 68 Firebird.
Right.
It's a repair panel, or, you know what I mean? Like, so.
Well, it's based off of an original, but it's not as heavy because it's not built for safety.
And it's not as heavy because it doesn't have the quality. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, it's just thinner material and it's cheaper. It's cheaply made, but cheaply made shit is lighter. You know, so you get a roof replacement or whatever panel for that. Then you get a couple of replacement quarters for it, and then instead of getting all the pillars and everything that used to connect the car together, you make it. You know, and so. That's what all these cars are nowadays. Like, nobody's building them out of real deal old cars anymore, you know? Like, They're
Maybe
just,
some of the rockers aren't even rockers. They're just like
yeah, like,
steel bent. into
yeah,
the
see,
shit.
my car, it still has rockers, you know what I mean? My car still has door things and, you know, it still has pillars. Like, this is, you know, but think about it. This car's heavy compared to the new cars, you know, so nowadays,
Which cars are you talking about? Because my car is a modern car and it's extremely heavy.
yeah, but yours has everything in it still. Yours was built for more safety than mine. You know what I mean? So, but like there's two ways of being heavy. Like your body panels are lighter than my body panels, but your car was built to take, you know, your car
Impact,
was built
yeah.
to save you, where my car was built to save itself. My car was built so that like if I died, someone else could buy the car and drive it home. So
Same day.
there's a difference. Whereas your car was built to save you and, you know, never run again. But like to try and sum the rant up, I guess, you know, if I built a new car, and that's where the line gets weird, is all the people building new cars. Because if I built a new car right now, I would order a 68 Firebird roof replacement. I'd order 2 68 Firebird quarters. That's literally it. Not
Yeah,
one
you
more.
skin it.
Right.
I would not order one more part. Everything else we would build here. He would build it. Like the pillar,
Right.
that little strip of metal, you know, we wouldn't order pillars. He'd just put a strip of metal down there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, and then you end up with a Pro Mod, you know, a tube chassis Pro Mod that's got a,
But you're calling the chassis a Pro Mod, not the panels.
right.
Right.
Yeah. If you take the 3 panels or 4 panels, or
Yeah.
3, if you take the 3 body replacement panels off of it, you know, it's basically, it's a Pro Mod. You know what I mean? It actually is a Pro Mod at that point, you know. So,
Yeah.
but in order to be competitive, you have to go to the extra length that no one else will go to. You know what I mean? And every time somebody built a new car to be faster, they used less parts from the original car.
Right.
And then once they figured out, you don't have, you know, so now you basically take a Pro Mod and you put a 68 Firebird replacement roof skin, 68 Firebird replacement quarter panels, and then you call it a 68 Firebird, and it's a new car.
Well, because if someone orders a car from Jerry Bickle, you order the chassis and then you pick the body. So that's why I feel like it goes off of the chassis.
I understand what you feel like. Trust me. And in the world of Pro Mods and everything else, you're 100% right, you know? But, and in the fundamentals of, fundamental.
They're super fun.
Reading is fundamental. In the fundamentals of racing, you're right. The chassis is the car. If you get a new chassis, you got a new car. That's the fundamentals. But that's to us. That's for us. That's for race car people that deal in race car shit, you know?
Yeah.
For shop talk.
Yeah, for shop talk. But
I hope that Wrangle
my two
Mania
boys,
lets me know,
you
how he feels.
if my 2 boys walked in the shop, you know what I mean? If I told them this was a new car, they'd say, how do you figure?
But that's
You know.
children.
Yeah, okay, but those are the fans, okay? Your dad. Your dad's not a child. Your dad has raced his entire fucking life. You know what I mean? Your dad is a drag racer. He's been around drag racing. He loves drag racing. He's built cars from the ground up. Your dad's a drag racer who builds cars, right? What would he say?
I don't know. I'll ask him.
I bet you I know what he would say. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
I know. I'm just saying, you know, you have to draw the line somewhere. And even though it's a ridiculous, stupid thing to say, it's a new car. You know what I mean? You just have to draw the line somewhere because, you know, otherwise, what's the point in any of it? The thing is, I guess here's the thing. I guess the thing that I want to say, I guess the thing that I've talked long enough to hear myself and I've came up with it as I was talking. The problem is, if you succumb to just dealing in race cars and just talking about the race cars and the parts that go with the race cars, if you succumb to that, then what's the point in any of it anymore? What's the point in the steel body? What's the point in the steel panels? What's the point in the dog and pony show to make it look like a 68 Firebird?
But the people that look at the car, they can't tell if it's steel or carbon fiber.
I agree. That's the part where what's the point? You know what I mean? At some point, if you succumb to that, if you allow it to get down to the nitty gritty of it's no longer about that this is a cool ass car that I just built. It's a 68 Firebird. It's no longer about that. When you get down to the point where it's literally about the chassis, then I think at that point, if we get to that, if we let it get to that, I think at that point it goes away. I think nobody's going to care anymore. I think everybody, because then you take the mask off. You know what I mean? Then the wizard, you know what I mean? You see the guy in the back. You know, you see Jerry Bickle and them in the back, and they're pushing a Pro Mod around in the shop, and they go, oh shit, they're here. Put the Firebird panels on it. You know what I mean? They're like, no, it's not a Pro Mod. This is a 68 Firebird Street Outlaw car. You know,
like it has a VIN.
Yeah. So at the point, you know, I guess that's what I'm trying to say. If you allow it to be sectioned up into the fundamentals of a race car and what dictates a race car, then yeah, of course it's the chassis. But if you allow it to go to that, I think it goes away. I think if once people realize what we know, you know, once fans and everybody else in the world realizes that you skin these fucking things are all the same, you know, there's no difference, you know, because people still out there saying Robin Roberts and No Prep Kings, like that Firebird is, you know, it's Pontiac, you know, that old steel, Detroit steel, you know what I mean? Like, and they're brand loyal. You got people that love Camaros, you got people that love Novas and Chevelles. That shit's cool, you know what I mean? I love it. Like Monza says he's building a new car, it's a Chevelle, and everybody's just like, dude, it's gonna be so cool to see a Chevelle on there, blah blah blah. We kind of need that. We kind of want to be kids still. We kind of want to think they are Chevelles, you know what I mean? Like, because there's not many left, like this one, or like, you know, some of the other ones that are around. There's not many left that you know started out life as a real car. So, and trust me, if I had a choice, this one wouldn't have.
I think that there's some people that, and this might be you, that are fans of the cars, and I think there's some people that are fans of the drivers. Because in NHRA, people are fans of the cars, and in NASCAR, they're fans of the drivers. And I think in Street Outlaws, you have a mix of fans of the cars and fans of the drivers.
You do. I think you do. But I think in Street Outlaws, I think they both matter in Street Outlaws. Where in most stuff it doesn't. It's not both. It's one or the other, you know. And you know, okay, but why? There you go. But why is it that NASCAR, the driver matters?
Because they're all the same car.
They say Toyota and Chevrolet on them and stuff, you know, but nobody even looks at that anymore, you know, because at some point along the way.
But technically, NHRA is the same way.
Yeah, but nobody's fighting in NHRA because it's Ford versus Chevy, you know.
Yeah,
it's the sponsor. It's actually not even the car. It's actually not even the car in NHRA anymore.
It's the sponsor.
It's the sponsor. It's the Castrol GTX car, or it's the Napa car. You know
Unless you like one of the
know
really
what
OG
the car
ones.
look like?
No, they have no idea.
It'd be a Toyota, a top fuel funny car.
Yep.
It's
So-
like this tall.
Yeah.
You're like,
So
oh,
Unless
now-
you like one of the like old drivers, like unless you're a
Yeah,
diehard John
of
Force
course.
fan, then
Of course.
But he's always had the same sponsor. But I think besides that, it's all.
Yeah, it's got to the point where in NHRA, it's literally that they've done a good job of marketing it for the sponsor, you know, because, you know, they're right. Unless you know what you're talking about, it's the Napa car, or it's the Castrol car, or it's the Monster car, or the Army car. You know what I mean? Like it's that. And that's true. Anybody that knows, anybody that's into this knows. So
Anyone
now,
that likes
but-
NHRA knows who sponsors the car that they drive. Yeah.
Because
That
the
they like.
car itself isn't identifiable enough. The brand is, okay? But in NASCAR, the reason why nobody cares that it's a Chevrolet or a Toyota or a fucking whatever, the reason why nobody cares is because at some point along the way, the fan, even all the way down to the casual fan, got to see behind the mask, you know what I mean? And they realize that they all have the same motor, they all have the same chassis, they all have the same rule, you know, they're all basically the same car. So the driver is what's different. The driver is what matters in that racing. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And at some point along the way, I think that Street Outlaws, you know, if it's still around, which obviously right now, man, you know, it's hard to say that it might, hard to say it ain't, you know, hard to say, but it doesn't seem like it's going anywhere anytime soon. So I think that at some point along the way, Street Outlaws fans will turn into, I hate to say fans of the driver because there's not enough drivers that can hold that, you know. There's only a few drivers that can actually hold a fan audience and all that, you know. So I think that
I do think that most of the Street Outlaw people like the car because when if you are at an event of Street Outlaws, the thing that you hear the most is my mom drove me to school in that car or
Yep.
something like that, you know?
So
I
when
had
you
that car in high school.
Yep.
Yeah.
That
So when you
car-
lose that, and we're in danger of losing that right now because of everybody getting, it's amazing that all the drivers and all the people are so much more accessible now with social media and YouTube and stuff. It's awesome. I love it. Everybody's so much more accessible. But with that, the drivers are starting to let go of that curtain. You know what I mean? They're showing pics and videos of their cars being built at the chassis shop, you know?
Yeah, well, and
there's-
people want to see behind the scenes, but behind the
Yeah, they
scenes
don't
is
want-
behind the
I
curtain.
promise you, they don't want to see behind
Well, I
those
mean, we're
scenes.
showing the behind the scenes, but
No, but like they don't want to see those. You know what I mean? Because if they want to see it until they see it, and then they're gonna go, oh no. Like once it hits them, that there's 3 cars being built right now side by side,
and they're all the same.
and they're all the same, but one's a Chevelle, one's a Camaro. You know what I mean? And they're gonna go, wait, what? You know, like that's gonna, you know. At
Well,
some
I think
point,
the chassis side of Street Outlaws used to be a little more secret. Like the builder and like getting a new car built was more of a secret, but
Yeah. And it was more of the car. It was more of you took a car to a guy and had him cut it up, you know? But that's stupid now. Why would you do that now? It's just silly. There's no point because, you know. So, and hell, nowadays, it's even to the point where some of the guys, because their choice of car, it's weird because their choice of car off the assembly line that they chose to build came with a composite roof. So that means they can have a composite roof, but they don't have the composite roof that came with that car off the assembly line.
they had the lighter composite.
They have their own composite, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like at that point, it's not even a replacement roof and quarters, you know? Like it gets crazy, you know?
But it'd be hard to guard it because then you'd have to be like, I need
Of course.
pictures and videos of your car being built with
Of course, it'd be hard
old
to guard it, and
stock
I hope
panels.
that, and as of right now, it looks like everybody's great with it, and it's going to keep moving, and everything's going to be awesome. But you know, like at some point, I hope that all the fans keep with us because, like NASCAR, they did. Obviously, at some point along their history, the fans of NASCAR realized it was all the same shit, but they stayed, or they may have even grew. They may
But I
have
think
even
that the
captured
NASCAR
more fans.
The NASCAR drivers have and are allowed to show a lot more personality than NHRA drivers.
Bullshit.
Whatever.
Bullshit. That's bullshit. I've been in NHRA. That's bullshit. Well, okay.
Have you watched it on TV?
Let me say it's not bullshit. Hang on. Let me say it's not bullshit, but it's not NHRA. That's the thing that everybody's fucked up. When I went to NHRA, they wanted me to do and say whatever the fuck I wanted.
I
They
didn't
were
say
cool with
NHRA
it.
won't
Okay,
let them
I
have
know,
a personality.
But a lot of people say that and they think it's NHRA.
I think
they
it's the sponsors of those drivers, but it's the drivers of NASCAR have a lot more personality
Yes.
and show more personality than the
Agreed.
drivers of NHRA.
I agree 1,000,000%. But it's because the drivers in NASCAR and the sponsors in NASCAR are treated differently in the organization. You know what I mean? So they're not on. The sponsors in NASCAR aren't ready to walk at any. Like they're not going. You say one mother, I'm out. I don't want to be here. I'm out. You know, like sponsors in drag racing are just like that. Like they're trying to bring them. They're trying to close the doors and keep them in and everything, but they're ready to bolt at any given
Well,
time.
there's probably a huge
So-
cost difference in between the
Well,
two.
yeah, it costs
Yeah.
$4 million to go drive a top fuel car.
For one event.
No,
Or
it's
something
it's
crazy.
4.6 I think is what it was before for a season. So,
But
you
that was
know,
also, what, 3 years ago?
yeah. I don't think that NASCAR's 4.6 million.
I'm sure it's still expensive, but
Yeah.
it's probably less than.
At one time though, in NASCAR, you didn't have to have $1 billion because the cars were so much the same. It came down to the driver. So in NASCAR, they were looking for the best driver because he could win races. You know what I mean? And I'm hoping that that's what kind of comes out here. But the difference with Street Outlaws though is it's not all the same shit. You know what I mean? Like we all have chromoly. It's all fucking tubing and bars. You know. But like the cool thing about Street Outlaws is there's still that parity in combinations. You know, there's still blowers, turbos, nitrous. You know, there's still a bunch of different stuff that, you know, that you see on any given day. Like America's List. You know, last season number one car switched from, you know, blower and nitrous and, you know, over, like it switched, but then in the end it ended up blower, nitrous number 2.
Procharger.
Yeah, supercharger number 1, procharger number 1, nitrous number 2, and then it was turbo number 3, turbo number 4, you know. But like that mix up, you know, that's killer, you know what I mean? That's cool. You won't see that in NHRA, you know, or any other. You won't see it in NASCAR or in engineering. You will not find the parity in the engine combinations, you know what I mean? Because the top 5 cars at America's List, none of them had the same combination. Like,
right. Well, even like the 2 turbo cars
weren't the
was
same.
you and Ryan, but you have different
but
blocks.
Yeah, we have different, you know, we're totally different combination, you know, so that part is cool, and I hope we can keep that, you know. And as long as there's no, you know, crazy rules and weights and all that stuff on the street, we'll always have that. You'll always have guys that can do it differently than somebody else, you know. So that part's cool, and I like that. But
So it keeps it original. That's how it was originally.
yeah,
You never go to the street expecting everyone to have the same ride.
right.
You go with what you have. And then
Well, yeah, and you want to see different stuff. You want to see how this guy can do with that, and that guy can do with this, you know. And you know, it's cool that that still exists, and I think it will. I think that'll always be there in street racing. I don't think there's any way to get rid of it. It's unfortunate in HRA and stuff like that because it's nobody's fault. It's just this is the faster combination, you know. So you have to, if you
Because
want.
there's rules.
Yeah, well, yeah, and because there's some certain companies that step up and they say we want to dominate next year, and so they do, you know, and they release parts and equipment that's better than everybody else, and then if you want to win, you put that stuff in your car for this year, and who knows what it'll be next year, you know, but it moves. It never stays the same for very long, so I don't know. See, man, we just went, good God.
This is going to be 2 separate videos.
We went like,
I'm going to make an NHRA NASCAR one and then a...
no, you gotta, this is all the same shit, it's the same rant. Hey, how you gonna say, I sat over there and listened to your fucking rant last week about no prep shit all day and put it out there, so you got to.
I just walked in to see what was going on.
Yeah, you got screwed on this deal.
He's
You
making
just
sure we're
walked
not
right in the
fucking up
middle
his
of it.
chassis.
So
All
while we
right.
can disagree on, you know, chassis and new car, old car, we can disagree on that. But I think in the end, we're still on the same page.
Sometimes.